Welcome back to the Barrel Talk Podcast. We are back with another episode, joined with Nick Gwynn on the call. NBA trade deadline just ended today. Everything just wrapped up a couple hours ago. So we are here to break down pretty much every trade that happened from January 1st up until the end of the trade deadline. We have them all right here on my second screen. But how we doing, Nick?
Doing good. This was a pretty weird deadline.
Yeah.
A lot of moves, a lot of them like getting off some money though. It is a lot of weird moves going on.
Kind of just a lot of whatever.
Yeah.
Seemed like.
Yeah.
Right. So already talked about the Trae Young trade on the channel. We can jump right into kind of the Cavs in general. We can kind of group the DeAndre Hunter trade and then the James Harden trade into one and talk about both of those to start this off. The Cavs ended up bringing in Dennis Schroeder and Keon Ellis. Sacramento Kings get DeAndre Hunter, and the Chicago Bulls get Dario Saric, salary dump, and 2 second-round picks in 2027 and 2029. So, and then we can go up and see James Harden to the Cavs for Darius Garland, and another second-round pick. It goes out to the Clippers. Initially, when I saw the DeAndre Hunter one, I kind of knew something big was happening, but I didn't know it was going to be something Harden-related, because just like the Cavs have been struggling with having size at that wing position for so long, it seems like the DeAndre Hunter was supposed to be somebody that could fix and solve that, but it seems like now they've pivoted and have gotten off that because Jalen Tyson's been playing a lot better at that wing spot as well. But what are the thoughts of just like both trades, kind of just two trades in one?
Ultimately, I like it because you're ending up with the best player available in James Harden. I don't know how I feel about that in the playoffs down the line. It's going to be interesting with this team, but like it's the lineup that you want, I think. You have Harden, D-Mitch, Mobley, Allen, and Tyson. That's the best lineup I think you were going to get with this right now. What do you think?
I'm on board. It took me a while to kind of figure everything out, and it's kind of made it easier to see the Clippers going in the direction that they have now.
Right, yeah.
And we'll get to that a little bit later. But looking at what you're able to add, I think when it always came to the Darius Garland situation, it was either upgrading that spot or going out and getting a whole nother position of need, which I thought was going to be a wing at the end of the day. But Darius Garland's value, I think, was so weird and iffy around the league because he's somebody that has just not been able to stay on the court. I kind of talked about it on the TikTok I made, that he's just not available, and Harden's more available and is the better player right now currently. And I think he's more of an offensive hub compared to Darius Garland. I think the offense is going to be a lot more stable when Donovan Mitchell's off the floor. Agreed. And I think that's something the Cavs struggle with, is like there are a lot of D-Mitch or bust situations. And I think bringing in two guys, not even just talking about James Harden, but Dennis Schroeder, somebody who I'm very high on and somebody who I do like in the right situation. I know he didn't really work out with the Warriors and he's been on multiple different teams, but I feel like at almost all of those stops, he's had some kind of impact. He was good with the Lakers, which almost led to him getting paid. I thought he was really good for Detroit last year after he got moved there. And then Detroit didn't bring him back, and then he's with Sacramento, which wasn't really the best fit. But this is a fit where I think he's going to do a lot better with at the Cavs. So they have two really good point guards in James Harden and Dennis Schroeder that can really run the show for you. I like bringing in Keon Ellis as well, somebody who can play the 2 or 3 in a pinch, somebody who is really good, just 3-and-D option, because that's something I feel like they were lacking because we haven't seen Max Strus play at all this year. And Jalen Tyson still is young, but he has been playing better. Sam Merrill, he's been in and out of the lineup. So I think Keon Ellis at that guard spot's going to help. And then from Cleveland's point of view, I like how you brought up they get the best player in the trade because they're in a position to where that's exactly what they were looking for. And I think James Harden does move the needle for me a little bit more compared to Darius Garland, because we've also seen Darius Garland in situations in the playoffs kind of get played off the court at times, depending on the matchup. And I think we've kind of seen this. I love to bring up Portland back in the day for an example, is like it's so hard in the league today to have two small guards in your backcourt. And not saying James Harden's like a 6'10" point guard, but James Harden's also not 6'1" like Darius Garland. So I think this is a way better move for the Cavs right now. And I think the big James Harden pickup also kind of, people are forgetting they also have Dennis Schroeder and Keon Ellis on the team as well. So I think this is a W for Cleveland and kind of a make or break year.
Yep. It has to be now.
To get to the conference finals, bare minimum with this team, and a wide open Eastern Conference, because we just saw the Pacers today get better as well for next year.
Mm-hmm.
So looking at that, and the Celtics, yes, Celtics are good, but without Jason Tatum, I would take the Cavs in a series.
Would I?
Right now. So
the other competition's the Knicks, and we've seen them struggle through points of the season.
Mm-hmm. And even then, I think you got the Cavs are a good matchup for the Knicks.
Oh, I think so too.
Now, way better matchup for the Knicks now
With
that they
Mobley
have
and
Harden.
Allen both be on Cat, I think I agree there.
Yeah, so looking at this, I'm going to go ahead and say this is a W for the Cavs in this situation at the deadline. Sacramento Kings part of this, getting DeAndre Hunter, kind of whatever. It looks like in the summer they're going to look to offload Levine and DeRozan somehow.
Yep.
And then who knows if Sabonis is going to even be on this team going forward, because he was also in rumors as well to Toronto. So this team is going to be looking completely different. And if you have kind of a wing duo of DeAndre Hunter, Keegan Murray going forward, I don't hate it. Kind of trying to look at the positive side. I know it's hard to do that with just the Kings in general and how their organization has been trending. But I think if you're going into next season and you're starting 3 and 4, DeAndre Hunter and Keegan Murray, and say you go trade for John Morant or something like that in the offseason, I think you're going to be looking in a way better spot. And I don't even think the Kings are in such a bad spot to where I don't. It might be a little bit of a hot take, but eventually all this stuff that they have is going to be off the books. You're going to get off DeRozan. You can get off Sabonis. Like, Levine's the hard one to get off of because of he's only a scorer archetype making X amount of money. I think that's the reason why a lot of these guys are around the league are hard to move. But I think eventually this offseason, it's more so, I don't think they're in a bad spot if they were able to pick a direction and make these moves. But the problem is them making the moves. And that's the problem that gets me. I don't think they're in this bad spot. Do they have a ton of young talent and a great young core? No, they don't. But at the end of the day, I think eventually they're going to be able to get off some of this money and be fine in like 2 to 3 years instead of them being like bad for 10 to 15. Like, you know what I mean?
I know, I get that. But like, isn't that like sad to know that in a few years you have a chance to get off the money and for things to be okay? Like that, I feel like is the definition of like NBA hell right there. Is where you have the chance in a few years to be 500. Like, come on.
Yeah.
But just a few years ago, it was light the beam. It was light the beam, and now we're sitting here and it's just awful basketball in Sacramento.
I'm going to look up real quick while we're talking about it. Sacramento Kings, just salaries in general.
I was like, I don't know how many, like, if they got any picks, like, because the DeRozan Levine obviously just isn't working.
Right.
You got Dennis Schroeder, and it was just such a weird room because Malik Monk had that great year last year, and then you bring in Russell Westbrook as well, and that guard room is so weird. And like you said, you still have Keon Ellis who's playing the 2-3 role. Like, I hate everything that the Kings got going on, and I do not think Sabonis will be there next year. I think Sabonis is gonna demand a trade out of there.
Yeah, and the big thing about when I'm looking at their financials, this is why I don't think it's any. I think they're going to be a way more, I would not say aggressive team at the deadline next year, but with all the expirings they're going to have,
more open. They're just gonna have so many more opportunities. You know, they'll be able to do so much more. Because you're right. Like right now, you have DeRozan and Levine, who are like very difficult guys to move at this point in their career, especially with how much money they're both making. So like, all you could do is send away those guards that you have.
And me looking at it, I think next year is going to be the year where all these guys are able to get moved, because DeRozan's going to be on the last year of his deal, and his deal isn't even nothing crazy. It's about $26 million. That's not really a terrible, because he's still producing. It's just like he's older and it's hard to move somebody with that much money and just his style of play. You're going to have Levine, who's going to probably accept that player option. I don't think he will, because I think he wants to get out of Sacramento. And it's hard to stomach declining $48 million, which could be a hot take. But from everything trending, I think he wants to get out of Sacramento and gets to a winning situation. He's 30 now, so you might bail out and get a little bit lucky in getting off that money a year earlier because he wants to get out, because that's just what it seems like. It seems like Zach LaVine's been trying to get to a contending team for some time now. And I think the option that he could have is getting out of this. It would just be a year earlier. But I think he's a
tough-ass choice.
Yeah.
48 mil, because like, he ain't getting nearly that on the open market.
Yeah.
So like, oh, that's a tough decision, bro.
I'm trying to be a little bit more like optimistic and like thinking that Zach LaVine is somebody who's also never really been in the playoffs consistently. He's never really been on a true contender. His value is the way it is because of the money he's making. So I'm looking at the about $49 million player option on this, is thinking like, okay, could decline it. Willie, it's kind of a hard thing to do, but if he wants to get out of Sacramento that bad, he could. So it could be in Sacramento's benefit this offseason as well. The Sabonis one goes until 2027-28 season. They're possibly looking to move him. I think a team definitely jumps on Sabonis in the offseason. He's kind of just been tough to move because he has been hurt a majority of this season. But when you're looking at that, the Malik Monk contract's kind of tough. 18 this year, 20 next year, $21 million player option on the third year of this deal.
So that's just awful.
He seems more of like a off-season move, in my opinion, when teams have a little bit more cap space. But yeah, other than that, you have Keegan Murray locked up long-term. And then the rest of your team is like rookie scale contracts. And then you have DeAndre Hunter making $24 million next year. So you'll have another expiring next year as well if you wanted to move off of DeAndre Hunter at some point. So looking at it just from a financial standpoint, I know the Kings are kind of in this like weird NBA hell realm right now compared to where they were just light the beam a couple of years ago. But I do think next year will be a good year to like, if I was running the Kings, I think next year would be my year to like really get off this money and kind of reshape and restructure this team. But the frustrating part that I have about it is the Kings owner and GM are just not trending in that direction. But realistically, from my perspective, they're not in the most asinine spot ever, like the Pelicans, who have no draft, like who are just terrible and refuse to move anybody. So it's like I'm looking at the Kings, was like, okay, we can reshape and restructure this team in a year and revisit everything. So I don't hate the direction. And getting DeAndre Hunter, I think he's a good wing to pair up with Keegan Murray. Trying to look at the positive side of things, I guess, from the Kings' perspective.
I get it.
And then we can talk about the Clippers side of things, and we can kind of transition this into the Zubac trade as well, because we're just talking about the Clippers in general. Darius Garland, second-round pick, and we can kind of lay this in with the last trade, that big trade that ended up happening, which was Zubac to the Indiana Pacers. The Clippers got Benedict Mathurin and Isaiah Jackson, a 2026 first-round pick. For that is the Pacers' own pick, and the Pacers are a bottom 3 team in the league this year, which is very interesting. So I'm going to run down the protected for you. It's protected 1 through 4 and 10 through 30.
What?
So if the Pacers ended up winning a couple more games and get the 5th pick, it would go to the Clippers.
Pick is projected 1 through. Say that again.
1 through 4 and then 10 through 30.
I have never heard of that before.
Yeah.
That's the
so
okay.
Right.
That's crazy.
Right now, looking at the percentage to get into the top 4 on Tankathon, the Pacers have the 3rd best odds to end up in the top 4, which is basically pretty much a coin flip with the top 2 teams as well, 52.1%. So it's basically a coin flip on if the Pacers are going to get this pick or not in the top 4, which they would keep. But if it ends up anywhere between 5 and 9, it would go to the Clippers.
Wow, that's so weird because like it could very easily fall in those 5 to 9 range.
I think they're banking on the fact that they are going to get. It's a gamble. Yeah. You're basically looking at this from the Zubac point of view, and you also get a 2029 first-round pick and a second-round pick, and you give up Zubac and Kobe Brown. I'm looking at this from the Pacers' point of view, as the Clippers are a desperate team that doesn't have a lot of draft capital. OKC Thunder own the Clippers' first-round pick, which looking at it right now would be sitting at 12, but you just gave up 2 of your 3 best players.
Yeah.
So looking at that, I think the Pacers are banking and kind of finessed in a way the Clippers out of Zubac for what could possibly be a franchise-saving pick for the Clippers if it ends up through 5 to 9. I think I would take the gamble too. If you're telling me I get to have an all-NBA caliber center with Halliburton and Pascal Siakam next year, we already have a young team, and I get my pick back, and it's not even unprotected, I get my pick back as long as it doesn't end up 5 through 9.
Yeah, that's a gamble I'd probably take too.
So I think it's a very interesting gamble, but with how they're trending right now, they're 13 and 38, currently have the 3rd best odds to end up in the top 4. And I think now that they've made these trades, I would expect Pascal Siakam to miss the second back of every back-to-back the rest of the year. I think they're going to really trend into being bad because it's going to be significantly in their benefit to be bad, to add. So everybody in a year from now is going to be looking at this gamble the Indiana Pacers took. They fleeced the Clippers because they got the 4th pick, and then they got to add another top-end talent with Zubac, Siakam, everything they have, Halliburton coming back. So looking at that, and I can do a simming the lottery right now, and they would end up with the 3rd pick. So they'd get that pick.
Wow.
So
if that happens, you obviously win the trade. Like, that's huge.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be huge with Halliburton coming back next year. My God.
I think a lot of teams would take that gamble.
I think so
in
too.
my opinion.
Yeah.
With the protection.
Especially because there's no rules against tanking. You can do whatever you want. If they really did just want to be like, hey, Pascal, sorry, dude, you're hurt. Like, I don't know, you don't think you're hurt, but you're hurt actually. Like, you're sitting down for the rest of the year. Like, you should do that.
They're kind of just hoping a team doesn't jump up
Yeah.
from the teens.
Which, like, who are
basically.
the other teams? Who are the other two teams down there?
The other two teams would be Sacramento at 1, the Pelicans pick at 2, which is Atlanta's pick, and then the Pacers in Brooklyn and Washington are your 5.
Brooklyn, Washington. I mean, Washington. God. Then I mean, the Washington's doing the same thing with Trae Young. They're doing the same thing, and now they're going to probably do the same thing with AD.
So it's going to be a tanking race.
It's really a tank race, which is sad, but like, whatever. It is what it is.
Yeah. But I understand it. I love them taking the gamble and getting a center, getting Zubac in the door. But let's get into it from the Clipper side of things. And them getting Darius Garland, Benedict Mathurin, Isaiah Jackson, they have this chance of getting a top 5 to 9 pick, depending on what happens in the lottery. They have a 2029 unprotected first-round pick and a second-round pick. I made a TikTok about this, just kind of like when it happened, my initial reaction to the trade. I think there's something else happening in LA. I think there's some sort of Kawhi Leonard suspension looming, possibly from the stuff before the season with the fraud and everything else. Because this was one of the hottest teams in basketball, an aggressive owner in Ballmer who has been no shy to keep going all in for his team. You just got a new arena into a dome. Like, I get you pivoting off Harden because he was kind of a free agent. You could lose him for nothing. You bring in Garland, reset your clock on that because Garland is such a younger player, and I think Garland still is a good player. To where, okay, you move off Harden, you bring in Garland, get a lot younger at that position because the Clippers were an old-ass team. I get that point of view. But the Zubac thing makes me think something else is going on because it's like, there's no incentive for you even to be bad because you don't have your own pick, but then they take the gamble with the Pacers to possibly get in the lottery still. So it's looking very interesting. I think there's a suspension looming.
You think?
I truly do. I think there's something, we might hear it in the summer of why they sold so hard on Harden. Because it seems like when everything happens so quick and seamlessly, makes me wonder because the Harden shit happened. I remember the rumor started at like night, and then by morning he was gone.
Mm-hmm.
And then the Zubac thing happening pretty much at the buzzer of the deadline. Yeah, the Pacers were always linked to Zubac, but I think the Clippers, maybe they think they can keep themselves afloat with Kawhi, Garland, and Mathurin to just not even be like a contender this year, but to make sure like OKC doesn't get that pick, like, or doesn't get too high of a pick because they were one of the better teams.
They probably don't even care about that at this point. Like, there's nothing you can do. Like, it is what it is. They have our pick. We're gonna. Maybe we win enough to keep it out of the top 5. Maybe we don't. Like, whatever it is, I guess.
So I'm just very interesting. That's kind of my point of view on it. If I'm the Clippers, just from a personnel perspective, I like Darius Garland getting younger at the point guard position because I think Darius Garland's still a very good player. I like Benedict Mathurin taking a flyer on him because I think him and Darius Garland could be a really solid backcourt for that team going forward. And looking at the Clippers, I talked about on my TikTok that I did before the Zubac trade, I said I really liked this trade for them still because they have all this flexibility going forward, right? They were able to have all this flexibility. You get John Collins off the books this year. You got Zubac on a very team-friendly deal. You have a team option in Bogdanovich that you're going to decline. Derrick Jones Jr. is on a really good deal, only making $10 million this year and next year. And then you have Brook Lopez team option, Nicholas Batum team option, Bradley Beal $5 million player option, and then like Chris Dunn's making $6 million. So this next year free agency, like, you would have had a lot of shit to do in the next 2 years. You would have had really clean books, getting off the Harden money. But I always gave the argument, I was like, you can have all this free money that you want in free agency. I know you're LA, but you're the little brother in LA. So you had to have something on the team that enticed, maybe not other star players to come there, but like there had to be something. There had to be some groundwork.
Something, yeah.
And I thought Garland, Zubac for the future. You still had Derrick Jones Jr. at the time, depending on what you do with Kawhi Leonard, because he only has this year and next year on his contract. So I'm looking at that. I was like, okay, whatever. There has to be something there. But then you move Zubac, and then I'm just like, your starting center is Brook Lopez now. Like, your draft pick this year, Nienhauser, he hasn't really been in the rotation. It seems like he's going to be kind of thrown to the fire now with no Zubac there. So I'm just interested to see, like, is there a Kawhi suspension looming? Because then all of a sudden it came out that James Harden didn't ask for a trade. Like, it's just super interesting to me, like, the direction that they've went.
Yeah, I mean, it's very interesting because I'm very much for, like, if once you send Harden away, at that point I completely agree with sending away Zubac because, like, Zubac, when is his value going to be higher coming off last season too? Like, it was an okay time to send him. He's 28 years old. And I am not a fan of the being mid. So like once you send away Harden, obviously you're just going to be what you are. And when you don't have your own pick, like
You
it is
basically
what it
gave
is.
up on that.
Yeah. So like I'm okay. I am completely okay with them getting what they got. I wish they got more for Zubats. I feel like he's worth more, a little bit more, especially if they don't get that pick from Indiana. Like that would blow. But I don't know. It's fine. I'm okay with their big picture, like tearing it down. And if they really are going to lose Kawhi at some point, like, God, complete tear down at that point.
Exactly. But I like it from the Pacers' point of view, and I like the Clippers getting a little bit younger and kind of going into this new age. It's just interesting to see what happens with Kawhi.
Is this their last pick they're giving to the Thunder?
I think so. But looking at that, I like this for the Pacers taking the gamble on Zubac and still possibly coming out of this with Zubac and a top 4 pick. Yeah, so it's going to be very interesting.
Like, dude, I mean, obviously we won't know till the end of the year, but if that happens, that is a huge win.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely huge win.
High risk, high reward kind of move. And then Clippers, whatever happens with Kawhi Leonard, he could be moved this offseason because he would go into next year being an expiring. Who knows what happens with all that, but I like Garland and Mathurin taking the flyers on those two guys who are a lot younger because the Clippers have been an old team forever, it seems like. Let's get younger and start kind of the restructure and the retool of this team going forward.
Agreed.
Next, we can get into Jaren Jackson Jr. trade, which is very interesting, very out of left field. I think the only other team, apparently the Warriors, were in talks, but they pivoted to try to get Giannis, and that's what led to the Utah Jazz swooping in and getting Jaren Jackson Jr. So the full trade was the Utah Jazz getting Triple J, John Konchar, Jock Landale, who actually got rerouted to the Atlanta Hawks, if I'm not mistaken, and then Vince Williams Jr. And then the Memphis Grizzlies get Kyle Anderson, Walton Clayton Jr., Taylor Hendricks, Georges Niang, who's I think been released, and then 3 future first-round picks out of that deal. And I have it right here. Yeah, Jock Landale went to the Hawks in another trade. So, looking at that, Utah, very weird situation.
I mean, they said they were done losing. Thoughts.
Yeah,
I like it. I like it kind of for both sides, man. I'm not gonna lie. I like that the lineup that it's looking like the Jazz are gonna have next year. Keontae and Ace Bailey, and then Laurie, Triple J, and Walker Kessler. I think that's a really interesting lineup for next year. I don't know what they're going to do for the rest of this season, but I also kind of like it for the Grizzlies side. You get 3 more picks. You got 5 for the Desmond Bane trade. I mean, you're just stacking up first-round picks at this point. We're just going with a Thunder
13 first-round picks in the next 7 years.
That's insane. See, like they're just trying the Thunder thing. Obviously, this shows that there's probably going to be a Ja Morant move at some point if one opens up, if a team wants him. I don't know what his value is looking like nowadays, but yeah, I mean, I kind of like it from both sides.
Kind of pivoting off the Ja Morant thing, I think he's just going to be a lot easier of a guy to move come off season.
Yeah.
So looking at this from the Jazz perspective, I also think that you can only take for so long before you need to start pivoting into being a competent team. Kind of we'll talk about with the Wizards as well, because 2 trades are kind of similar. But I like what you have. You still have a very young team. Keontae has kind of broke through the ceiling this year to where it was going to be kind of hard to tank with somebody like him and Laurie on your roster and Walker Kessler healthy on your roster. It's going to be hard to tank anyway. So why not add somebody like Jaren Jackson Jr. who fits really well? Pairing him up to Walker Kessler, you have a really good defensive front court. And then you can have this size with shooting and spacing ability with him and with Lauri Markkanen. I really like that fit with the small forward, power forward, center. And then you can have size put Ace Bailey at your 2. You can put Keontae at your 1. You can even move Keontae down to your 2 if you wanted to bring in another point guard as well. I like Isaiah Collier off the bench. Cody Williams is finally getting some run, so I like the direction they're going in. I think Vince Williams is another good just wing/guard to have.
Yeah, I like Vince Williams too. I thought that was a good add to it.
So looking at what they're working towards next year, it's tough because they're in the West. I think this would be a super interesting team out East with their size. But out West, I would need to see a fully healthy year out of this team for them. But I think they're going to be trending towards being a play-in team for sure and possibly being a playoff team. Because I think they have a lot going on to where they can give a lot of teams problems with their size, especially Laurie at the 3.
Mm-hmm.
So I think this is going to be a very interesting matchup for a lot of teams out West next year. I completely see them shutting Triple J down for the rest of the year because right now, looking at them, they currently have the odds to get the 6th pick in the NBA draft, which is their pick. So they're going to be also adding another piece and another player in this year's draft with that first round pick. Looking at that, I think this is a really, really good move for Utah to kind of just, you can only tank for so long.
Yeah.
And I think
At some
getting
point,
somebody
I
who
think
fits your
seeing the
timeline helps.
Yeah, I think seeing Keontae break out a little bit was just what set it off. They're like, yep, we have Laurie. Walker's obviously out for the year, but coming back next year, healthy, still young. This is the time. It's the time to do it.
Definitely turning the corner kind of trade. And for Memphis, you're entering the rebuild, you're tearing it down. John Morant's probably going to get moved in the offseason. 13 first-round picks in the next 7 years. So you're taking the OKC approach. And now looking at Memphis, really just looking at these 3 first-round picks from Utah. Walter Clayton Jr., somebody they just drafted, could be an interesting guard, but they kind of have a lot of those over there right now with Ty Jerome, Scottie Pippen Jr. as well. And then you're getting Taylor Hendricks, who, yes, did get hurt, but could be a flyer guy that you could develop. But now you're looking at just the future. I wouldn't even be shocked if Ty Jerome at the back half of the year plays himself into another first-round pick for them to go get in the offseason. So looking at this, only thing I have to say is Memphis is tearing it down. We'll address them more in the offseason once John Morant gets moved to see what they fully get back for that former big three of Triple J, Desmond Bane, and John Morant. But I like this for Utah side. I think it gives them a little bit more upside going into next year. Has possible playoff team, especially with how they match up in the West. Next, we can get into kind of a smaller one. Anthony Simons and a second-round pick to the Boston Celtics for Nikola Vucevic and a second-round pick. Like this move for Boston. I've kind of been saying all year that Boston's been better than advertised going into the season. And I just wanted to see them do something with that Anthony Simons money. They needed an upgrade at the 5 and with how they play and operate. And they saw how Porzingis kind of helped unlock the team offensively with his floor spacing. Vucevic might not give you the same rim protection, but he's more reliable and on the floor than Porzingis. And I don't think the offensive gap is that great compared to a Porzingis as well. And he's on an expiring. This could possibly easily be a rental. You can get somebody even better than Vucevic in the offseason. But I think for right now, why not try to compete with this team? You don't really have an incentive to be bad or to tank. You're a top 3 seed out east. Vucevic helps
we're also
you.
The Celtics. Like, we don't sell. We don't do that.
Yeah. So looking at this, really like this move for Boston, getting Vucevic in the building, just upgrading the 5 spot. And for the Bulls, Anthony Simons expiring. You get off the Vucevic money. Clean money all the way around, getting off pretty much 2 bad contracts, in my opinion. And then you're just going to go into the offseason and Anthony Simons going to find a new home.
Yeah, it is what it is. I really like it for the Celtics. I didn't see, I wasn't expecting this going into the year. I didn't expect Luka Garza to be playing this good. And I expect Keita to be playing this good. But yeah, Celtics obviously still good. Jason Tatum, it came out Jason Tatum isn't going to play this year, right?
It's trending in that direction.
Yeah, so this year is what it is. It's whatever. You just take it as far as you can. Like you said, Vucevic is a rental. Probably he's 35 already, so I don't see him signing a long-term contract there.
Right.
But yeah, it's a no risk really.
Yeah, just a half-year rental to make you better right now for a playoff push is all I'm saying.
And especially in a weak East, you can do it again.
Now we can pivot to Anthony Davis trade, which is one of the bigger ones as well. The Washington Wizards got Anthony Davis, Jaden Hardy, D'Angelo Russell, and Dante Exum. The Dallas Mavericks get Chris Middleton, AJ Johnson, Malachi Branham, Marvin Bagley III, 2026 first-round pick via OKC, 2030 first-round pick from Golden State, which is going to be top 20 protected, a 2026 second round, a 27 second round, and a 2029 second round from Phoenix, Chicago, and Houston, going to the Dallas Mavericks. So looking at this is pretty much just the Washington Wizards kind of trying to do exactly what the Utah Jazz did. You can only be bad for so long. We've seen Alex Sarr finally break out. Now you're pairing Alex Sarr up with Anthony Davis if he can stay on the court. Now you also have Trae Young, Keontae George, Trey Johnson. And looking at their draft capital, they are in the realm of they currently have the 5th best odds, tied with the 4th team, Brooklyn Nets, to have a top 5 pick in this year's draft. So they're going to add another lottery pick for sure in this year's draft. And it looks like Trae Young and Anthony Davis are going to be sitting the rest of the season. Looking forward to next year, and they're going to kind of let the young guys roll out with this team. I personally like this from the Wizards because kind of like what I said about Utah, to only be bad for so long. When you're a tanking team for so long, you kind of have to turn the corner and get better eventually. So looking at Washington, I like what they're doing. I think it's a solid fit with Sarr and Anthony Davis in that front court. Keyshawn George, has been very, very good as well. Trey Johnson's a rookie coming in. You're going to add another top 10 pick in this year's draft. So you have Trey Young as well. So I think going into next year in the East, very interesting team. Very interesting team that can make some noise if Anthony Davis stays healthy. Looking at that, what are your thoughts on the Washington Wizards side?
Exactly the same. I like that they're giving their young guys time to grow still. I mean, like, again, this is just another team where you're just sitting guys down for the rest of the year probably, but that allows your young guys to kind of develop a little bit. And then next year you go into it, like you said, Trey Young, AD, Alex Sarr. You got these young guys around them. Maybe we look again at, free agency, see what else we can bring in. And then you're probably a playoff team. I mean, play-in, at least, I'm thinking.
If it all comes down to Anthony Davis. Yep, if it all comes down to Anthony Davis staying healthy. And there's no incentive for him to play at all this year. I don't want to see him and Trae Young on the floor whatsoever this year. Wait till next year. Keep both of those guys healthy. Two guys around the league that didn't have the highest narrative because of injuries and staying on the court and everything else like that. So I think going into next year, you have a good 1-2 punch with a bunch of young guys around it. I'm not mad at a buy low from Washington, getting two guys, I think, on buy lows, and Anthony Davis and Trae Young in a weak Eastern Conference. Yes, Boston, Indiana, assumingly going to be back next season. Anything can kind of happen in that Eastern Conference when you add Anthony Davis, Trae Young, who I think can outperform what you got for them. And you really didn't pay a whole lot for Anthony Davis. All you pretty much gave the Dallas Mavericks was a back-end first-round pick in this year's draft from OKC, which is going to be the 30th overall pick. And then a 2029 pick with Golden State, possibly without Steph Curry at this time. That's top 20 protected either way. So looking at that, not really too much crazy given up for a player of Anthony Davis's caliber on a team that already has so much young talent. So you basically got him for nothing.
The Warriors pick is top 20 protected? Dude, my fucking God, the Mavericks blow chunks, dude. The Mavericks are fucking terrible.
Yeah, we can kind of talk about it from the Mavericks perspective as well.
My God, these guys suck. Like, yeah, you're going to have no Curry, but top 20. Like, yeah, it's going to be top 20. That pick's going to be top 20. That's just, it is what it is, man. I mean, the complete haul we got for Luka is just sad. It's just sad.
If I'm Dallas, I'm going into this offseason looking to move off Kyrie Irving. We're just washing our hands with the complete situation in the offseason, and we're focused on building around Cooper Flag because he has been on a tear recently. And looking at this, you're going to have a lottery pick this year in the draft that is your own pick. So you're going to pair Cooper Flag up with another lottery pick this season. And it looks like you're trending towards being pretty bad right now. Is 7th best odds in the draft lottery right now. So looking at that, I'm trading Kyrie Irving, trying to at least add a first-round pick from Kyrie Irving to kind of help that out. But looking at this, I mean, this is Cooper Flag's team. We're building around Cooper Flag. I think you still have a lot more moves to make around the edges. Klay Thompson in the offseason, PJ Washington, Daniel Gafford in the offseason. So there's still moves to be made for this team in the offseason, but we're focused on building around Cooper Flag. And I think the first thing I would do in the offseason is look for a Kyrie Irving suitor.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, talk about lucky. If they don't get Cooper Flag, it's the craziest downfall ever.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not to hate on Dylan Harper or VJ, but like, fuck. I mean, that's absolutely insane that they got that lucky and got Cooper Flag. Yeah. But yeah, you're right. You just go into this next offseason, hope people forget, reset, get what you can out of Kyrie, man.
Because, I mean, if they don't land Cooper Flag, this easily goes down as the worst trade ever in sports.
Ever. I think it still can.
It still potentially can. It still potentially can. But Cooper Flag is the truth.
Yes. Oh, yeah. All love. Cooper Flag.
So they've gotten him completely bailed out by doing this.
Yes.
Now we can kind of get into, I think those are kind of all the trades that I really liked. Those were kind of a lot of the bigger ones. We can get into one that was super kind of questionable, frustrating to me, and what I want to get into about like the second apron and the tax stuff and everything else like that. OKC getting Jared McCain. 76ers getting a 2026 first round pick from Houston, which is going to be in the 20s this year. Yeah. A 2027 second round pick, which is the most favorable of OKC, Houston, Indiana, and Miami. And then 2 second round picks from OKC, Milwaukee. So looking at this, from Philly's perspective, I know you have VJ Edgecombe on the scene, but it was a tax thing, and they're going to look to pay Quentin Grimes, but they're an expensive team that could easily get outbid for Quentin Grimes. You already had Jared McCain, who was younger than Quentin Grimes, who had the potential to be better than Quentin Grimes, who still was able to play and find his fit with Maxey, Edgecombe, So I think them just selling off Jared McCain, who's coming off of an injury. Yes, he's been up and down all year. He sent him down to the G League. But this is just a dumb trade, in my opinion, to give OKC another guard, another young guard, another shooter. Yes, you're getting a first-round pick from Houston, but this could be you opening up some more money to make a bigger trade later down the line, maybe Paul George's contract. But I think Jared McCain's value in a trade would have had higher value than the 20th overall pick in this year's draft or the 25th overall pick in this year's draft, because we've seen what Jared McCain is already.
Huh. I mean, I don't know. You think he pulls better than a top 20 pick?
Well, it's Houston's pick, so looking
at
it,
I'm saying I know it's probably going to end up like 23 to 25, somewhere in that range. But like, I don't know. With Jared McCain going down to the G League, I don't know if he's pulling like a top 20 pick.
I was saying that if you made a trade with Paul George contract and Jared McCain instead of a first, you're getting two players in that instead of a first round pick.
Mm-hmm.
Adding Jared McCain's salary on top of Paul George, I think it would have been a lot easier. But I also don't like them just giving up on the Jared McCain idea, because he could easily have been a bench point guard for you. And now you're going into it with giving Kyle Lowry real rotational minutes off your bench at point guard.
That's what I'm more worried about. I get that. I mean, does this get them below an apron? Did this get them below the second apron or something?
Save them tax money or something. Is what I saw.
I don't like that then. I mean, if it was getting under the second apron where there's a point where you can now sign vets to minimums and whatever else you can do with whatever the apron does. I remember it does some crazy shit. So if that was the deal, then that'd be great. But if it's really just to get off a little bit of money, bringing in the 25th pick, I'm not a big fan, especially when, like you said, you got to give Kyle Lowry minutes now, and Jared McCain could have been a good ass player,
right
there, especially playing with those other guards, like you said.
Yeah, I just think this was I don't like this. I don't like how they gave up on him a little earlier than
especially sending him to OKC, man.
Yeah, out of all places. So very questionable move. Didn't like that from the Sixers' point of view, and then they didn't also add another guard. So now you're going to be looking at Kyle Lowry getting real rotational minutes, which is very, very interesting. Next one I didn't really like. We can talk about Jonathan Kuminga finally gets out of Golden State. Jonathan Kuminga and Buddy Hield to the Atlanta Hawks, and the Golden State Warriors get Kristaps Porzingis. Only reason I don't like this is because Kristaps can't stay on the floor. This is the only reason why I don't like this. I think he's a perfect fit for what they want to do offensively. And apparently now he's saying that he could come back as early as Saturday. And they play the Lakers on Saturday night for the Warriors. But you're still in the playoff hunt. I think it would have been a disservice to Steph Curry to even just give up the rest of the season. I'm glad they were able to get Jonathan Kuminga out of there and do something with the rest of this year. I think this is a good buy low on a guy who definitely fits you better than Kuminga and addresses your size and is a good front court pairing next to Draymond Green with the spacing and the shot blocking ability. I like everything fit-wise, shooting-wise, spacing-wise, defensively. I like all of it. It's just, can Kristaps Porzingis stay on the court?
Yep, that's literally it. Because I love him so much, having him out there way more than Al Horford. Way more than Al Horford.
And now, this might be the most shooting that they've ever had. Like, in terms of, you have Curry spacing the floor, you have Kristaps Porzingis that can space, Quentin Post that can space, Al Horford that can space. So you're having every center you put out there next to Draymond Green is going to be able to space the floor, which I think definitely helps your offense. If they still had Jimmy Butler healthy, I absolutely love this move.
Would love it. Yeah, no, would love it.
I absolutely love this move. And this would take Golden State into a higher tier, in my opinion. But with Jimmy Butler being hurt, Kristaps is an expiring contract, so you can really get him back on more of a team-friendly deal, because I think he fits with what this team wants to do so much. So, and either way, you wash your hands with the Jonathan Kuminga shit, you open up some more money to use in the offseason. But I think this is a good situation. You could possibly bring back Kristaps on more of a team-friendly deal because of his injury concerns as well. So looking at that, I love everything fit-wise. I love what they could do to break him back on a cheaper contract. I just hate that he can't stay healthy.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, like, even with that, I think it's just a win overall. I mean, it's just a win with whether he stays healthy. I mean, obviously you want him to stay healthy, but he's still not too old, and you still have a chance to bring him back on a long-term deal if you would like to. And you give yourself another year where you can possibly do it with Curry in his prime. Or not in his prime, obviously, but like still, doing amazing. And you get off the guy that you was plaguing the locker room. Not that it was Kuminga's fault, but just the situation was plaguing the locker room at that point. I think. So just getting off of him and getting rid of that situation is just, I mean, you needed to do that, I think. And to get a player as good as Porzingis out of that, who we've seen contribute to a championship winning team, is it's a win all around, I think. Win all around. Didn't have to give up too much. W.
Somebody who I think is super interesting that just hit free agency because they need another shot creator, because when I'm looking at this roster, that's one thing that they lack. I would love if they just took a flyer on Cam Thomas for the rest of the year. Try to recoup his value on a team that's going to be in the play-in, playoff realm. He's actually on a competing team to see if he can, if he's not just empty stats, if you want to go down that route. I think it's a perfect situation because they need somebody that can just score outside of Steph Curry with the ball in his hands. And I think if Golden State's not at least in the talks to get him, it's a disservice because they need another scorer. They need another shot creator. You just lost Jimmy Butler, who's a shot creator on his own. Lost him for the rest of the year, and you gave up your only other one in Jonathan Kuminga.
Like,
so
he could give you 80% of what, like, Jordan Poole used to give you.
Yes, I do.
You know?
And you can get him just for the rest of the season. You can decide what you want to do with him. It could
like
be
15
a very
mil and just whatever.
It could be a very.
I don't know how much he's asking, but yeah,
he might just. Well, he was making $4 million, and the Nets gave him and released him. So I think if you were able to bring him in the door and be like, we don't know if we're going to bring you back next year, but you can come here, get your value up. You're possibly going to be in the playoffs, actually playing meaningful basketball to get that value up. Win-win for both sides. If he comes back next year, but I think that should be the Warriors' next pivot move to bring in another scorer like Cam Thomas.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think that's a great situation for him.
And all you need him to do is just come off the bench. And be
chuck up shots, just not chuck up shots. You know,
be
a good scorer.
To run the floor offensively and just score
literally.
and put the ball in the basket. That's all you want from Cam Thomas. But that's kind of just thinking ahead of what I would do if I was the Warriors. If I needed to pivot and go get another scorer post-trade deadline, I would go try to see if I can get Cam Thomas because I don't really know the value on him and kind of just be like a rest of the year rental to kind of help you offensively. Because if you have Kristaps Porzingis helping you offensively and you just add 12 to 20 points a game, depending on what you're getting out of Cam Thomas, I think it would definitely help you in this season and kind of your ceiling this season if you were able to add somebody like that to your team. But love the fit with Kristaps Porzingis. Just got to stay healthy. And then Jonathan Kuminga in Atlanta. I got to see Atlanta in this offseason because they have a ton of wings, ton of things going on over there. I like his athleticism next to Jalen Johnson. Buddy Hield's a good shooter for them because they just moved off Luke Kennard as well. So, I don't know. Atlanta's in this weird spot because Atlanta came into the year with all these expectations, and now they don't have Trae Young or Kristaps Porzingis, and they've now are a team with Jalen Johnson, Dyson Daniels, Jonathan Kuminga, Risha Shea, like a lot of wings on this team. I don't really know how to feel about it, but I gotta let them play out the rest of the year because they're still so young.
I just don't think Kuminga stays there.
No.
I was just sitting here trying to think of a spot for him because Kuminga is talented, and I think he just needs a specific spot. And yeah, you're right. Atlanta just has too many wings. He doesn't fit into their timeline, I don't think.
I think a team that does fit that would allow him to kind of grow as a player would be, and it could be some sort of pseudo sign and trade, would be Memphis, because they're in this spot now to where they just have all these picks and they could bring in some young talent, and it could be some sort of sign and trade with Ja Morant going to Atlanta or something like that in Memphis, because Atlanta could use a point guard. I don't think Dyson Daniels is the answer at the 1. I think he's better at the 2. And now you're looking at a team where you have a ton of athleticism with Ja Morant with this Hawks team, and then Memphis takes a flyer on Jonathan Kuminga and some sort of sign and trade. That's the only team I could think that just has this like opening on the roster to just be whatever. Gotta see what happens with the Clippers, but the Clippers are another one that he could go to.
That's what I was just thinking of the Clippers too.
I think the Clippers are an interesting spot. If I had to guess, I would say the Clippers or Memphis is the team that he's going to end up with because I just don't think he fits with everything they already have there in Atlanta. So I'm looking at Clippers, Memphis this offseason to be in the Kuminga realm as well because he's talented and I think he just needs to get to the right situation. But those two teams I would think are in the realm of getting somebody like Jonathan Kuminga in the offseason. Looking at, because a lot of these other trades were kind of just like salary dump trades, ducking the apron, stuff like that. Another interesting one was the Minnesota Timberwolves getting out of Sumu for Rob Dillingham. They give up on that experiment, Leonard Miller, and 4 second-round picks. Looking at this, love it from the Minnesota Timberwolves side. I would assume was giving you way more than Rob Dillingham, way better fit. Him and Dante DiVincenzo, I love the fit with those two because I think they can fit in any lineup you put on the court. And looking at that, I think he's the perfect guy to bring off that bench. He can play the 1 or the 2, guard pretty much 1 through 3, in my opinion. He's just a very do-it-all kind of player. And then the Bulls, all these guards, I have no idea what the Bulls are doing. I'm not going to talk about the Bulls because the team is whatever.
Void. Yeah.
It's a void of guards over there, and I got to see them get to the offseason and see what they do. I have no idea what the rest of the season is going to look like for them, but they got to get to the offseason. They have all these guards. I'm not even sure if Rob Dillingham is on this team next year anyway, so I'm just kind of going to view this from Minnesota Timberwolves side of things. They needed to get a guard in there. I'm glad I would assume it was the one, because I think he just fits the team a little bit better than Kobe White, in my opinion. But I'm interested to see.
Yeah. I think so too.
Because they were not able to get Giannis, which we'll talk about a little bit. And then they bring in Ayo, so now you have Dosunmu, Dante, Anthony Edwards, McDaniels, Nasri, Julius Randle, Rudy Gobert. So that's kind of your like top 7 right there. And I think you have a good 7. This is a team that went to back-to-back conference finals. You had a guard like Ayo. I think you're trending in the right direction. The only thing I hope doesn't happen is that the trade deadline got this team not locked in. Because they were obviously in the sweepstakes for Giannis. Trade deadline can rub the locker room the wrong way, and then nothing fell off, and the Giannis trade didn't happen. So I'm very interested to see if this Timberwolves team doesn't, not so much fall off, but there definitely doesn't become something in the locker room. I'm sure they all know it's a business, but it seemed like Randall and McDaniels were on the table to get traded. It was just very interesting, but they know it's a business. I just hope it doesn't. So I just hope it doesn't rub the locker room a certain way.
At some point, when you're getting in talks about Giannis, I think you just accept it. Mm-hmm. You just accept that you're getting traded for Giannis. It's kind of like Cam and Mikal Bridges when they were getting traded for KD. They said, oh yeah, it's KD. No, that makes sense that they're trading for him. I think they're going to be fine. Obviously, you needed a playmaker in there. Mike Conley and Rob Dillingham were not giving you anything at this point, so. I really like the move. I think it makes them better, and I don't think they're going to be anything like that. I think they have Anthony Edwards on their team, and obviously he's a killer. I think I'm pretty confident in them in the second half here.
Yeah, I'm looking at this as I can kind of pivot into two of the things that I hated the past couple of days, but I think it's a good situation for Minnesota. I like them getting the point guard because I wanted to pivot into some of the things I don't like. First off, I wanted to talk about the Miami Heat. Only Eastern Conference team to not make a trade. If you are the Miami Heat, I am sorry if you are a fan of this team. Because every star that becomes available, every guy that could become available is linked to the Miami Heat, and Pat Riley and them refuse to pull the trigger on any kind of move. Any kind of move. I think the whole Jimmy Butler not being paid situation, I'm looking at this as this is solely a disservice of Jimmy Butler. Of how they disrespected him. This is somebody that throughout everything that was happening in the East, took the Miami Heat to 2 finals. 2 finals. And you didn't want to pay him because of so-and-so. Okay, he'll go. And then where's your ass now? Playing. Yeah, they were in the plan before. They were making runs out of the plan. But Jimmy Butler at least was the playoff riser, gave you a higher ceiling.
Was the reason that you're getting out of playing.
Yeah, so I'm sitting here, I'm looking at this like, I don't want to hear them linked to anybody. Because you're not getting nobody. You guys aren't making any fucking moves. Tyler Hero's been rumored to get traded at every fucking deadline. You guys have been linked to Donovan Mitchell, Giannis, KD, all these fucking guys that could become available. Everybody that could possibly become, and even the smaller ones. Like, I think John Morant or Zion. You won't even pull the trigger on that. And those, I think, are buy low guys. And you won't pull the trigger on that. So I'm sitting here looking at it from the situation of, like, I don't want to hear Miami Heat in any fucking rumors anymore. Because y'all are not making no moves. Y'all are not. The day y'all make a move, I'll be shocked. Jimmy Butler forced y'all hand to trade him. That's the only. If he wasn't forcing y'all hand and was on some passive aggressive shit like Giannis, he would still be on the team.
Stay. Keep him. Fuck it.
So like that's my whole thing. Is like going into this offseason, I don't want to hear the Miami Heat rumor to a single goddamn star player. Because I'm sorry if you're a fan of the Miami Heat. It must be so frustrating to see your team be rumored to get every single star, any single player that ask out. And then see Pat Riley come over here, be passive-aggressive, talk about we like what we have, and then you're trying to lowball every team. Because I think that's more so the problem is the Miami Heat try to lowball every single team out here because it's Pat Riley, and
I mean,
that's
yeah,
why
they were
none of
sending
these.
fucking sending trade offers for Giannis with 2 first-round picks.
Yeah, like this is what makes me mad about the Miami Heat. If I was a
Triple
fan of the
J
Miami
went for
Heat,
3.
I just don't understand the direction they want to go in, because they're destined for the play-in. They're like the Chicago Bulls with a little bit more talent and a little bit more aura. But I don't want to hear them in a single fucking rumor
I don't want to hear it.
ever.
I do not want to hear it. They're going to have the same roster for 3 years, bro. I can't do it.
I don't want to hear it. Because I would love to see Miami with that culture and that team go out and buy low on a Zion. Take the chance. Take the risk. I'd love to see them go try to retool and rebuild with John Morant. But no. Maybe Memphis was asking for too much from John Morant. I wouldn't be shocked. But I'm just like, and the Pelicans are stingy with Zion. They don't even want to move any of their players, and they're the worst team in the league. So looking at this, I think it's just so interesting. I don't want to hear the Miami Heat in any rumors about any star players anytime soon, because they've been linked to everybody under the sun. Kawhi Leonard, Kevin Durant, Giannis, Ja, Zion, like Donovan Mitchell. Keep it. Save it. It's not happening.
Save it. You ain't making moves.
Save it. Save it. You're not making any moves. This is all smoke. Until I see some real trades across my phone from the Miami Heat side of things, I don't want to hear shit about rumors.
Well, don't worry. You're going to get the offseason notification that they're making trade talks with Giannis, with the Bucks for Giannis. It's going to happen.
And that can pivot me to that. To end this episode off, the big fish. Oh, they're gaining traction. This is the elephant in the room. I'm done. I'm not even mad that he didn't get traded. Because he'll. Here's the thing. I don't want to hear no fucking complaining about how the Bucks ain't winning shit. From Giannis' point of view, I don't want to hear this passive-aggressive shit. Oh, if they want me here, then I'll stay. But if they don't, I want to win as well. Like, I want to be here, but I don't want to hear none of that shit. Because now this has been 2 occasions where you possibly could have got moved. They made you available. But you're on some not demanding a trade, but you want to be traded because you want to win, but you don't want to leave Milwaukee.
You don't want to be the bad guy.
Yeah, but you don't want to be the bad guy.
Here,
so
bro.
this whole mixed bags, I don't want to hear shit when the Bucks fuck around, make the playoffs out of the play-in, and get bounced in round 1 by Detroit. I don't want to hear any Giannis complaining. I don't want to hear none of that, because he's been nothing but passive-aggressive about being traded. And that's a big reason why he hasn't been traded, because they're sitting here like, oh, well, he's not that mad, so we don't have to trade him. So I don't want to hear no sympathy for Giannis about how bad they're doing, because I'm kind of thinking the price tag for Giannis might be a hot take, a little too high. We're looking at somebody who hasn't had a single playoff moment since the championship. It might be too high. Every single year that this team post that year of championship, they got bounced by Miami in round 1. Giannis was hurt, right?
Yeah.
Giannis has been hurt every time this team has made the playoffs.
I know.
Every single time they've made the playoffs, Giannis has been hurt.
I know. But
is the value? Is he still a top 3 player in the world? Top 3 to 5 player in the world? Yes, he definitely is. But I think it's hard for a team that is really doing this, an opposing GM, to give up. If I'm looking at Golden State's offer, 4 unprotected first for a guy that every time we get to the playoffs ends up with a calf strain, who is a very serious injury to the style of play that he plays, I just think his value, I understand it's high, but if I'm looking at it from not being a fan base of the Bucks and just looking at Giannis as a player, multiple calf strains, multiple first-round exits because of injury, multiple times during the regular season where he's missing multiple weeks of the season, older, aggressive play style, with the calf injuries. We've just seen Jason Tatum and Tyrese Haliburton tear their Achilles this past year. Knock on wood, I hope it doesn't happen. But if I'm a GM looking at it from the Bucks' perspective, I have to take all of that into account. So I think there's a good reason Giannis ain't been traded. 1, because they don't feel the pressure from him to get moved. Go ahead, stay in Milwaukee, but don't come out in a couple months and be like, I want to win. Because you ain't winning shit in Milwaukee because you got no capital to get anybody in the door and you got no cap space. Because you stretch Damian Lillard, so that's 22.
You gotta do all the Dame shit, bro.
Yeah, so that's $20-something million of your cap space for the next 5 fucking years to stretch that. So you don't have that. You don't have $20 million. You have no draft capital, but you want to stay there and win. Don't demand a trade, but complain because y'all ain't winning. I ain't gonna feel bad for you.
Yeah. I don't know. It's such a weird spot. I'm not gonna lie, because like, bro, if I'm the Bucks, I'm like, dude, we brought in all these people for you. Like, I'm not trading you unless I'm getting this amazing value, because you are Giannis Antetokounmpo, and you did do that in the finals. Like, I understand the Bucks demanding all this shit for Giannis. I would be doing the same shit. I need 5 first-round picks, and I need 2 young, good players. I completely get that. But I completely understand teams not wanting to do it. I get the other side too. But at the same time, it's Giannis Antetokounmpo. Like, I think his value is what it is. Obviously, I think value in general, like KD got traded for fucking 5 picks and 2 amazing young players. Like, value is weird in the NBA, and I don't like what it is in general for these superstars. But
KD also, off of an Achilles, got a bag from the Nets and became still the player he was
still
before.
wasn't,
Still was good. But I think with Giannis, it's more so, I understand why he's going. I'm not sitting here stupid and thinking that he doesn't deserve to go for all this and this crazy haul because he does. But if I'm looking at it from an unbiased standpoint, he's been hurt every playoff run. He's missed multiple first-round games, which led to them getting bounced in the playoffs. So this isn't. He's quietly. We give a lot of players flack. We give a lot of players flack for not being able to stay on the court. I was big on that with Darius Garland. Anthony Davis, who I've been big on in the past couple years. Great player, can't stay on the court. Kristaps Porzingis, great player, can't stay on the court. Giannis is a level above all those players, and he's so great to where I can understand a world where people don't give a fuck about that because you're getting Giannis Antetokounmpo on your team. But he's quietly been one of the most hurt players in the sport. Quietly been one of the most hurt players in the sport. Every year we thought Milwaukee was going to be something.
Like at the biggest times.
In the playoffs, when you had Damian Lillard healthy before he tore his Achilles, Giannis got hurt. He's been out pretty much every playoff series in round 1. They haven't been out of the first round since the chip.
I have a hard time blaming players for their injuries. I'm not gonna lie. Like I have a hard time blaming AD at all. Like his body has just given up on him at this point. Like I don't know.
I'm not blaming Giannis for the injuries. I'm just thinking about it from a GM's perspective. And under a GM's perspective, they want
when he still plays, he's 30, 10, and 8.
Yeah.
He's 30, 10, and 8.
It's hard.
Like,
I just think the media and the public image doesn't think about how much he is hurt compared to guys like Anthony Davis, Joel Embiid.
For sure. No, 100%. He is as hurt as those guys, and he does not get the flack that those guys get.
Never.
100%. Because him and Joel play the same amount nowadays. And, you know, it's a joke that Joel Embiid is just the guy that misses games. Like, yeah, no, I completely get that. It's such a weird scenario because he is a generational player that I'm not accepting a trade for 2 first-round picks. Like, I'm sorry, that's not happening. That Warriors, was it just 4 first-round picks and then what? Like,
it was Draymond Green's, which would have been rerouted to a third team.
Somewhere else.
It was Jonathan Kuminga, Will Richard, Buddy Hield, I believe, and 4 unprotected first-round picks.
That's pretty good. I don't know. I'd think about that. Fuck, that's tough. Again, yeah, he's not too old. Yes, he's injury prone, but it's not too long ago that he, did that in the finals. Like, I understand the Bucks not trading him away. I'd be asking for full value too.
And now I'm looking at it from a team to where I'm just thinking about what happens this offseason to get him out of Milwaukee, because I don't see him ever requesting a trade. It has to be a crazy offer from a team that goes into this offseason having more flexibility to make a bigger move for him. But I'm now going into this looking at like post-championship, and you did everything for the city of Milwaukee. You got him a chip. So I'm looking at it this offseason, got to be like 5 years post-chip. All first-round exits if you have made it. Most of your first-round exits have been because you're hurt. So, Giannis, it's kind of hard for us to bring in talent when every time we bring in talent, get to the playoffs and you're hurt.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, you just use the Dame as an example. Like
it's a business. It's a business.
Yeah.
It's a business. I'm looking at it from an unbiased standpoint, from a business side of things.
Then I think it's just the perfect time to do it then. Like, we're sick of being in this spot where we have to either appease you and lose when you eventually get hurt, or just suck and have nothing to show for it. Like, it is a perfect time right now to where he is this good, I think, and he is injury prone, but still doing the things when he's there. Like, this might be the perfect time to do it then. So you might be right. And
I'm not saying you had to move him this trade deadline.
You couldn't.
Because you can get so much more value in the offseason. But my whole thing is, like, we're going to get to the offseason and it's going to be the same shit.
Yeah.
It's going to be Giannis not demanding a trade, but wants to win. And it's this mixed bag of things that you're hearing from reporters and media and everything else like that. It's going to be this mixed bag. and then we're gonna get to the offseason, and they can't find a suitor for Giannis because teams are interested about his injury history. Teams are going to be wanting to trade for Giannis, but in my opinion,
they're just going to always be asking for more.
They're always going to be.
We're just going to be like saying no. Like, no, we're just not here. We're just not where we want to trade him away.
But I don't know. That's kind of where I wanted to end the episode, kind of talking about Giannis and my kind of thoughts on it from an unbiased standpoint. Obviously, not blaming him for the injuries, but from a business and trading perspective, from somebody that is seeing it from all angles, I understand why nothing's happening. Because Giannis isn't forcing their hand like we've seen Harden, Jimmy Butler, KD do in the past, and they got to where they wanted to go.
Mm-hmm.
So you see,
it's just proven. It can happen.
This is the NBA. Stars
for players not as good as you, my friend.
And they got to where they wanted to go. Mm-hmm. So I know he can get to where he wants to go. But I don't want him staying in Milwaukee and then 2 months into the season, he's mad because they're below 500.
I don't want to hear it.
I'm not feeling bad for you.
I do not want to hear it.
Because you're not forcing the team's hand. And then anytime the team has also tried to put shit around you, not on your fault, you've been hurt. If Giannis is healthy, they beat the Pacers. But him and Dame both go down. So, that's my whole mindset. I think there's multiple different angles you can look at with the Giannis situation. But I think looking at it from that perspective, I think I'm seeing all sides of why shit isn't happening. And if the value is too high on him, I don't know. Because I think 5 years, no second round appearances, all pretty much injuries in the playoffs. That's all kind of all I got to say to wrap it up. I see why a lot of shit isn't happening.
I get it. I mean, also like with the aprons and all that, there's only so many teams that can trade for them. Right. Like it's not even possible for some teams. And then at the draft, that'll open up, like I know a lot of picks open up on draft night. So
so there'll be a lot more suitors. And I'm not saying they had to move him at the deadline, but I'm not going to be shocked.
But this is year 4 of this thing happening. Like it's
exactly.
So it's proven. It's happened year end. So I get it.
But I don't know. That's all I had for this episode, unless you wanted to add anything more.
Oh, yeah. The Phoenix Suns. Yeah, we traded for Cole Anthony. Sent Nigel Hayes, whatever his fucking name is, Hayes Davis, out of there. And Nick Richards. See you later. Thanks, buddy. Appreciate you. We needed guard. We needed I don't know. We needed a guy to be able to pass the ball around more playmaking. It's going to be weird because we have a bunch of just not young, but like a bunch of just short guys that are going to be kind of doing the same thing. But I've always liked Cole Anthony, so I kind of like the trade.
Yeah. And then Nick Richards gets to the Chicago and they don't have a center and they have all guards over there.
Nick Richards went to Chicago?
Yeah.
No. My friend, see you later. The Void.
Yeah.
That's all I got though.
That is all we have for you guys from this episode of the Barrel Talk Podcast, breaking down this NBA trade deadline. Thank you guys for tuning into the Barrel Talk Podcast. Hope to see you tune in to future episodes.
Peace.